Welcome to another episode of Something Witchy, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch rewatch podcast. I am Lara Cotter.
And I'm Skye Orchard.
And this will be an interesting episode. I'm currently passing kidney stone. We'll see what happens if I run out screaming in the middle of this. Skye did not have an energy drink like they promised me.
I know, I'm sorry. It's because it rained, and I get a migraine when it rains.
I was wondering how those were connected.
My sinuses are effed up, and so instead of rain clearing allergies, it just makes me feel like I've been in a room full of pollen. That's how it messes up my sinuses. And so I didn't think a Celsius on top of it would do well for me this evening.
That's fair. That's fair. I think there's something to plants releasing smells or pollens though when it rains, because I have a little catnip plant for Mabel out on my patio and she ignores it until I water it. And then as soon as I water it, I don't know if it releases some sort of smells or chemicals, but all of a sudden she beelines for that plant and starts nibbling on it, which I'm trying to make her not do because it has 5 leaves on it right now. If she wants more than 5 leaves, she has to wait.
I put some cat grass out on the catio and the cats have already overturned the pot. And now I'm going to have to regrow new grass. They wouldn't ration themselves. Crazy, I know.
Mabel won't touch her cat grass. She's not like a normal cat where they nibble on it. What she does is she grabs it and she yanks it out and then just drops the blades of grass around the little planter thing.
That's what the kittens did with my succulents. I had a full succulent planter before Jill and the kittens moved in, and then I didn't have a succulent planter anymore.
Also, congratulations to us for not even starting the episode and getting off topic. A+. Good job. And I didn't need pain meds to do it. Look at me. My first question is, what is something that you have held on to for way longer than you probably should have? And hopefully you still have it and you should probably throw it away.
No. Can't. It's hard because it's always but I'm gonna need this one day. One day in the future. I have a lot of my Latin conjugate worksheets from 8th grade English. Just because you never know when you might need to, look up that Latin conjugate, and there's no such thing as the internet to do that. I need the physical paper to remind myself.
How often are you speaking Latin? Or having Latin spoken to you? You're not Catholic. You're not going to mass.
That might be the wrong word. A lot of the English language is made up of combined words from Latin and Greek and all those. And so it's worksheets of this. Half of a word refers back to this. I'm sure this isn't making sense, but don't worry. I have the binder of these words and I can share them and show you what I mean.
Please do.
And then I also have a very poorly welded fencing sculpture I had to make for my scenic design and props class when we were doing welding. It's real bad. It's like a door stopper at this point, but I can't get rid of it. I welded that.
No, you never get rid of art projects. I still have my art projects for the 7th grade. I have them behind my bed and can pull them out right now. So 7th grade, we were learning how to do stencil art. And I have all of my instinct art from that period. It's amazing. And I'm never getting rid of it. It's getting buried with me.
I made my parents hold on to my metal sculpture for probably about 8 years or so. And the instant they brought some stuff down from Idaho when I got the house, that was the first thing they unloaded out of their truck was my door stopper.
I think my parents may still have some of my clay sculptures from junior high art. Where did they go? Okay, that's what I'm going to do. My parents are out of town this week. I'm going to go to their house because I have to go water their plants. So I'm going to go find my old sculptures and see if they're still around or if they got rid of them.
Love it.
I also hold on to plants way past the point where they're dead because I'm not like you. I kill my plants. I have a succulent of some sort right now in my bedroom that it's has one little thread even holding it into the dirt. It's just completely toppled over. I'm never going to throw that thing away.
Oh, I still do that too. I've just found the plants that like me. I had an orchid up on my bookshelf and I kept forgetting to water it and it was a husk of an orchid, but I was like, I'm not getting up and taking that down because then what will I put there? And finally bought the Lego orchid saying, okay, I can put a Lego orchid here and still feel good about myself. And then the Lego orchid didn't fit.
My other question is, what clique were you a part of in high school, if you were part of a clique?
I might have been too diversified in high school. I was book club president, fencing club president, in the band, in theater, okay, yeah, I was a nerd. It's fine.
I mean, you said it.
was trying to make all those sound like different and cool, and then once you say it out loud, it's just sort of I could have just summarized that.
You just like books and theater and band and fencing and those
I did do like the mathletes in the morning too.
No.
Okay, what was your click?
I mean, I was definitely kind of the geek, but like the normal geek.
Excuse me?
There were like levels of smart people, right? Like there were like the popular smart people. And I was like kind of on the fringe of that. I was the like president of the National Honor Society and hung out with those kids through that. Then there was like just like the normal smart nerdy people where we weren't going overboard and we weren't super popular, but we weren't shunned either. And then there was like the overly nerdy kids that I was not in that group either because I wasn't as diehard as them. I was kind of like really, really middle normal kids for the most part that weren't super cool. Our episode title is Geek Like Me. I read something that said that this title was based off of Freak Like Me, the song, but I'm also wondering if it could be the book Black Like Me, because about 2 months later, we also have Boy Meets World Chick Like Me episode air on January 31st, 1997. So maybe all of those, none of those. I don't think the Blank Like Me is necessarily a groundbreaking title, but it could be any one of those. Our TV guide description is popular Libby manages to turn being a geek into a position of power. It aired either November 22nd, 1996, according to IMDb, or November 21st, according to Hulu.
Paramount also said it was on the 22nd, so Hulu might just have drinking some tang that was spiked.
I mean, I'm going to go with IMDb and Paramount, probably, because it is a CBS production. Directed by Gary Halverson, written by Rachel Lippman, the same one who wrote Dream Date. We have a few guest stars. We have Curtis Anderson, back this time as the named Gordy rather than just high school boy. Melissa Marie Much and Bridget Flannery are back as Cece and Jill. We have Mark Fite as Cicero. He is also in Mom, SpongeBob SquarePants, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and a new movie to add to our movie watch list, The Alien Beach Party Massacre.
It's going to be so bad and so good. That title, Chef's Kiss.
We need to add a new Discord channel to our podcast Discord where we include these movies, and I've forgotten all of them.
That's a very great idea.
Space Grandma, Alien Beach Party Massacre. Oh, and Human Zoo. That's the other one. Henry Han Kong is Sherman. His only acting credits are 2 episodes of Sabrina. So it's this one and then another one in season 3. And then 1 episode of ER. We have James Fields as Howard, back from the Terrible Things episode. And then John Knight as Matt Sabetti. He was in Buffy, Boy Meets World, and Hang Time. Overall thoughts, ratings on this episode.
I wanted to like it. At the start, I was liking it. And then we just sort of devolved into extra stereotypes, and I liked it a lot less at that point.
I mean, it's not the best episode. It's not the worst episode. It is no Rudy Kazooie. I will give it that.
I swear you bring up his name just to pain me.
I do now. I do. I mean, get ready. It's going to be 7 seasons of me bringing up Rudy Kazooie.
There's tears in my eyes. That's how scary that is.
I will say I really enjoyed Jenna Lee Green's acting in this. I thought Libby was, I mean, they really gave her a chance to shine and really play through it, and she did.
You really see more of her chops as an actress than you've gotten so far.
I don't think I've ever appreciated Libby as much as I did rewatching this episode as an adult, being like, oh no, the fact that she can be Libby and bring Libby through in both of these situations, both as a cheerleader and a nerd, and make it work, like, that's a woman who embodies the essence of Libby. Well done, Jenna Lee Green. I want to see her in more stuff now. Like, I know she's still working, and I know she's mostly on Broadway, but I want to see her around more.
I didn't know she was on Broadway.
She was in Wicked. Do you not know that? She was Elphaba, I think. She was on the first national tour. So I guess not on Broadway, but...
Broadway adjacent.
Broadway adjacent.
Has the Broadway name.
Oh, she was Nessa Rose.
Okay.
Wait, no, but hold on. So she opened the role of Nessa Rose on the first North American tour, understudied the lead role of Elphaba, and as a result played the role over 40 times.
Very first paragraph of Wikipedia here. She went on tour first for the musical and then later was in the actual New York Broadway production. We did it.
We did it. Yay. But anyway, she's amazing. Love her. All right, we're going to start with our cold open. Hilda is petting a pink flamingo lawn ornament when Zelda comes stumbling out of the linen closet holding a suit of armor saying, "We are definitely getting rid of this." Hilda asks where she found her cuirass. Did I say that right?
Cuirass.
Cuirass. and Zelda can't throw it away. Zelda says she hasn't used it for centuries, but Hilda was waiting for it to come back in style.
So this, at this point, is 17 seconds into the episode, and this is where it all devolved right here, right now.
I'm ready to learn.
Okay, so the cuirass that Zelda pulls out of the linen closet is a very interesting style. Going back to my nerdy stuff, I wanted to originally major in history. I wanted to be on the History Channel and talk about this shit as a living because I grew up watching the History Channel, loved all the medieval stuff, particularly there. And so this cuirass grabbed my attention because it's very bulky, but it has some of the stylings that would make it closer to the Renaissance era in design. And so I went down a deep wormhole. Did not leave that 17-second mark for a while. I was constantly trying to scroll back on my TV couples of seconds to get a better view. And it's very hard at 17 seconds in to get that minute frame. I really should have just gone on my computer at that point, but I was determined to make it work there.
And this is where we differ, by the way, because I did look this up too, but I just looked it up to be like, can I call it a suit of armor? And I was like, yes, great, I'm calling it a suit of armor.
Wow. So the cuirass was popular between the 14th and 17th centuries. So late medieval through Renaissance, and it replaced chainmail as the thing in style, as Hilda would say. So this cuirass does seem pretty articulated there and pretty fully articulated, but it's not as sleek as the Renaissance or Gothic style that you might see most plate armor showing or being fitted to there. It was very bulky. The welding and forging on it had all those stud designs. It just seemed very clunky, which made me think it was from earlier in time there. But once again, you do see it had the separated lower breastplate of the two pieces that was attached by strap. That part is called the placard, which then puts it back more towards the Renaissance in 1430s. I know deep in my heart, the props department just found something that someone made that said, this looks like a suit of armor, because we really don't know that much about medieval armor. It wasn't until the Renaissance, so a couple centuries after all this, that Renaissance figures were like, oh, we should study this and figure this out. So a lot of the knowledge we have isn't necessarily based off of the actual artifacts we have. Thank you, Ask Historians Reddit, for some of that information there.
One of the best subreddits.
Right. Also went down a welding history timeline, all that stuff. And then I decided to hit restart on the whole episode because I was tired of trying to scroll back minutely. Then you see a helmet in the box in the first 2 seconds. And that could have solved a lot of my questions right there had I noticed it during that first 2 seconds instead of pausing at 17 seconds. Because that helmet, it has the comb, it has the helm, it has the visor, and the gorget of a 1500s helmet. That's where I'm putting at, is 1500s. However, then you notice that there is this large rearing horse on the top of the helmet as the comb, which would weigh this helmet down in such a way that you couldn't actually fight in it. And so at that point, I just said, I hate you, props department, and pressed play again. We can talk about the mace too, if you would like.
Let me get there. Let me get to the mace.
Okay.
Because my question is, the horse part, maybe this was just a ceremonial and not a fighting suit of armor.
Maybe, but I hate it.
Or maybe it's a magic helmet, and because there's a horse on it, you turn into a horse when you wear it.
If it were a magic helmet, it would fit better.
Reminder, no caffeine involved in this episode, nor pain medication. So Hilda has her suit of armor, now dated to possibly the 1500s, 1430 to 1500s. Zelda then holds up a mace and asks Hilda when she was going to use that. Hilda holds it up and longs for the good times. Only she could be nostalgic for the dark ages. And now we're going to talk about the mace, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there, that mace is in no way accurate to actual historical bludgeoning weapons there. That is our modern day. We think it looks cool this way, but it is not close. The closest it would be to, at least, is a medieval mace, so props to them for that. Props department. I think I'm funny. Except I also hate you, props department. You know, I made chainmail in high school too. I still have my chainmail.
And you had to think about which clique you belonged in for several seconds.
I was the kid who was nostalgic for the dark/medieval ages there.
Even though you would have been long dead had you lived in the medieval ages, you would not have made it to this age, let's be honest.
True, I'm not a witch, to my knowledge, nor am I a vampire, so...
No, I meant like your age now.
Oh.
At what age do you think you would have died in the medieval ages? Mine would have been like 12. I had too many sinus infections, too many ear infections to survive very long.
It all depends on my eyesight, I guess.
Let's assume it's all the same.
Could not have been a scholar, but maybe I could have died in battle. Late 20s?
Late 20s?
A little below my current age, maybe.
Okay, all right. Zelda next drags a cannon out of the closet, asking why Hilda would want to keep it in the house. And do we have notes on the cannon?
Yes. I almost went on a deep dive to figure out the year of the cannon, because I was pretty sure that one I could do. And then I thought to myself, and I said, no, I let the episode continue, or else we probably wouldn't be recording at this time. It would be like an hour later than now that we'd be recording, because I'd still be in so many Chrome tabs there.
Tell you what, if you do a deep dive on the cannon, we'll release it as an Instagram reel.
Just a moving slideshow of all the armor and armaments I find.
Zelda says they don't have room for all this junk. Hilda has a week to use her things, or else Zelda is getting rid of them. Hilda goes to put the cannon away just as Sabrina comes out of her room. Sabrina holds up her hands and says she'll go clean her room. Hilda gloats. See, told you it was useful. Then we have our outfit intro. Yes, that's right. We are past the cold open now, everybody.
We did it.
We did it. Our outfit intro. Sabrina is wearing a beatnik outfit, including black beret and sunglasses, and she says, "Be cool, daddy-o." Mr. Poole is teaching the difference between mandible and maxilla. Mandible has a B, which stands for bottom. The bell rings and everyone starts to leave, but Mr. Poole stops them. Gordy has a very important announcement. Gordy, in new glasses not seen in previous episodes, starts. In 1581, Galileo began, then jumps to the end of the millennium after Mr. Poole tells him to keep it quick. Science Club will be meeting every day after school to celebrate National Science Week. Libby makes a comment about National Geek Week. Gordy asks if there are questions, and Libby asks if they can get out of there. Gordy adds if they sign up early, they can win a ham. Flip to the hallway, and Gordy smacks his head when he opens his locker. Libby laughs at him and tells him to come up with a scientific explanation for why he's such a loser. Jill and Cece chime in with Wessenhead and Zipmaster. And at this point, I'll give our two definitions, but I'm not satisfied with the ones I have. If anybody has a good definition or explanation for what the insult Wessenhead is supposed to mean, I will Venmo you $5.
Whoa.
You have to be the first one. Email us at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com with your answers as to what Wessenhead means as an insult. Best one that I feel like is actually plausible. I'll Venmo you $5. My two answers, and both of them are bad, were one, Dick Wesson was an actor, pretty prolific, starred in something called Destination Moon as one of his movies. I was like, maybe they think that he's kind of geeky in their dumb movies, and that's what it is. I don't think it's that one. I don't like that answer. My other answer that I like a little bit better is Paul Wesson was an astrophysics and theoretical physics professor, but that would have required Jill or Cece to know who Paul Wesson was, which seems extremely unlikely. So, Skye, what are your explanations for what Wessenhead means?
So first, according to the Youth and Urban Dictionary,
Gosh.
Wesson is to consume something extremely quickly, not letting anything or anyone get in the way. So Gordy could just be consuming the knowledge, consuming the science very quickly, will not let not being popular or anything like that get in his way.
No, don't like that one.
Yeah, that's a rough one. I think this next one wins, and I think there are enough context clues following throughout the episode that it could work.
Okay.
So there is also a brand of oil called Wesson Oils that makes canola oils that started up in 1899. So I think they're calling his hair oily, and you will note several times during this episode, they talk about oily hair and they associate it with the geeks.
I like that one. Is that still a brand of oil? Is it still being made today?
That's what Google made it seem like.
I think that's my favorite one. Okay, everybody, you have a week after this episode airs to come up with a better explanation than that, or else Skye gets my $5.
Yes! I can buy so much Tang with that.
Why don't I just buy you Tang? I'll just buy you Tang.
Well, if I don't want Tang by the time this episode airs.
Too bad. Sabrina watches and says to Jenny that she feels bad for Gordy. Jenny says no one cared what Galileo did in 1581. He entered the University of Pisa, replies Sabrina. Jenny didn't know Sabrina was a geek. She's not. She just likes science. Does that make her a geek?
I mean, sure, she likes science, but she's also going to make a math joke, and this seems a little bit more history related than just science there. Also, fun fact, Galileo almost became a priest and ended up only enrolling at the University of Pisa for medicine to appease his father. So I doubt he would have made the galaxy discoveries had he become a priest, because I feel like Catholicism did not like, it's not astronomy. What's the word I'm looking for? Astronomy.
Were you thinking astronomy was astrology?
Yep, it sure was. Does Tang have caffeine in it? Checking the ingredients.
I bet you somewhere out there in 2024, there is a caffeinated version of Tang somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure there's even like a mixer of Tang as well.
And if there's not Tang, if you're listening to this, that is our idea and you owe us royalties if you decide to make caffeinated Tang.
And or alcoholic Tang.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
I mean, throw some vodka in and it's almost like a screwdriver, just synthetic orange.
We're adding that to the cookbook. Yes. Screwdriver.
Got it.
Sabrina was thinking about going by the science club after school. Jenny tells her if she shows passion or enthusiasm for anything in high school, you're doomed. You may as well be wearing a big kick me sign. And at that point, I was like, Jenny, that's your whole shtick. And then they walk away, revealing that Jenny does, in fact, have a kick me sign on her back, which is fair.
Jenny's a little mean in this episode.
A little bit.
Especially considering it's like you said, it's her shtick, and she's been a little judgy and mean.
She's mad because she wasn't in the last couple episodes. Because Sabrina ditched her to go hang out with Emma last episode.
She can tell Emma's trying to take over that friendship spot.
I do like Jenny's big skull drawing on her notebook, though, in this scene. That was nice. She actually took some notes during science class, so good for Jenny.
Take notes or draw a skull?
I mean, well, they're learning about the skull.
They were talking about skulls. I was thinking about Galileo.
It was the top part of the skull that I could see, so I don't know how accurate her maxilla and mandible drawings are, but she was at least in the right genre.
Good job, Jenny.
Good job, Jenny. Jenny and Sabrina are eating in the cafeteria, and Harvey joins them. Jenny asks Harvey to help them because Sabrina has a problem. Sabrina says she's thinking of joining the science club. Harvey laughs. He didn't know she was a geek. That's the problem. She's not. Harvey admits that's what they'll think. Jenny says they can't change the whole system for her. Again, Jenny's whole shtick is changing the system, tearing down the barriers, revolution, etc. Sabrina doesn't understand why everyone needs to be put in boxes. She points out the cheerleaders only eat with the cheerleaders, the geeks only eat with the geeks. She doesn't want to be labeled. And I have read some things that argue that this is the largest difference between millennials and Gen Zers. Millennials were very much of this mindset of, I don't want to be put in a box. I don't want to be labeled. I just want to be whoever I am, and I want to float between social groups. Whereas Gen Zers seem to be a little preoccupied with putting as accurate label on themselves as they can.
I mean, we're all just broken inside as millennials. We can't spend the time thinking about where we fit in, besides being broken.
I mean, the most is we all still kind of identify as emo deep down inside.
Oh, yeah.
Every millennial was emo at one point or another. Even if you don't admit it to yourself, you were. Harvey says she has no choice, but she has a grace period as a new student. Soon she'll be stereotyped. Harvey, for example, is a quasi-jock with semi-literary aspirations and a hint of nihilism.
Okay, Harvey. You think that. You go.
Okay, quasi-jock. Got it. Semi-literary aspirations.
That's where you lost me right there.
Have we seen him reading a ton or writing poetry or anything like that?
Not at all.
And then a hint of nihilism, which Harvey is just about as far away from nihilism. That boy's golden retriever energy through and through. There is no nihilism there. He should have said he's a quasi-jock with an interest in mailboxes.
Yep. And thinks everyone's really nice.
So nice. Jenny tried to be an outsider, but she didn't really fit in. Now Libby just calls her a freak, and she's okay with that. Sabrina doesn't understand why she can't just be herself. Just then the cheerleaders break into a spontaneous cheer, yelling, "Let's go!" Sabrina says they should take that advice and just go. Libby announces that it's Spirit Week, and Westbridge is playing Eastbridge. They'll be wearing their uniforms all week and leading cheers at lunch to remind the students to support their team. They break into another cheer. East meets West, and we know who's the best. Sabrina doesn't get it. To her, that looks geeky. How can she do that and be so popular? Jenny corrects her. Libby isn't popular, she's powerful. She sees the power, and as long as there are people backing her up, she'll keep it. It's all very Stalin. Harvey doesn't know what they're talking about. Libby has always been nice to him.
Himbo on aisle 3. Clean up. Himbo.
I'm glad that we're back to the regular Harvey after last episode.
It is nice.
He's still clueless, but like nice clueless. Not mean, I'm not paying attention to you clueless. Sabrina and Harvey get up to get more tater tots. Libby is finishing a cheer and she turns around, causing a collision between herself and Gordy, causing him to drop his tray, telling him to watch where you're going, geek. And IMDb called out this line as being referenced in Mean Girls, but I think it's a stretch to say that's a reference to Sabrina because I also think that's just a standard line, the watch where you're going freak or watch where you're going geek kind of thing.
Tina Fey, if you're listening, please let us know.
Tina Fey, please come on the pod. Love to have you.
Anytime.
Day or night, you tell us.
Our schedules are flexible.
She starts to tear into Gordy because her uniform is wet.
Yeah, props department. The tray has water all over it. Costumes department. Libby's outfit is completely dry.
Do you think it was because, though, they didn't keep doing takes and waiting for Libby's costume to dry between each take?
No, because there's so many of those cheerleaders, sweatshirts, sweaters, whatever, that she just throws on a new one for the new take.
You only have a certain amount of time you can film with the audience and with kid actors, so you want to save time as much as possible.
Have we established there's a live audience?
I mean, I'm going to go with... Okay, hold on. Oh, they weren't filmed in front of a live studio audience. That explains my issues with some of the laughs that I think should be bigger. It was shot in a hybrid style without a studio audience because they used so many visual effects. All right. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. So they did have the time. They just chose not to. So you are correct in your disgust with the props and costume department.
Also, how many of these people are actually child actors at this point? I feel like they're all 20-year-olds playing high schoolers. I know Jenna's definitely
older. I don't know what Nate and Melissa's ages are.
Melissa's also 48 years old, so would also be in 20s. And Nate is 46 years old, so would also be in 20s. Boom! Math!
Okay, then I'm just wrong on all counts. Sorry, I'm not feeling good.
I'm sorry. Okay. Am I mean like Jenny now?
No, I appreciate your dedication to the truth and accuracy.
Truth is out there.
Sabrina tells Libby to lay off Gordy. Libby says it's just like a freak to defend a geek, and maybe they can get jobs together at the carnival. She storms off, but takes the time to give a sweet, "Hey, Harvey," as he walks past, with him pointing out, "See, she's nice."
Oh, Harvey.
Back in the hallway, Jenny asks Sabrina if she's going to science club. Sabrina whispers that she is, pointing over her shoulder to Libby and friends, indicating that she doesn't want them to know. Mr. Poole is talking to the 5 members of science club, same as last year, so none of them were killed at summer camp. And it's a very diverse group of nerds. Like, not gender-wise, but like...
ethnicities.
It's not like 5 white kids or half white, half Asian. Like, we got a mixture, so...
Also, they were drinking juice, which, first off, drinking juice in a science classroom, debatable whether that should happen there.
Do you know about the times that I ate in my chemistry research labs that I should not have been eating?
We taught 5th graders, Laura, that you never eat around the science or eat the science.
It was on my desk, which is like a foot away from where their experiments were happening.
Great. Anyways, about my juice.
Your juice. Back to your juice.
Saw that orange color, and I instantly said, that is Tang. And then I was justified, because later on, they say it's Tang. And now I am drinking Tang during this episode in honor and for any hint of sugar to help us get through this episode here. Cheers to Tang.
Cheers to Tang, which I have never, as far as I know, I don't think I've ever drank Tang.
So magical. That's my youth right there in the 90s. Tang.
Mine was Squeeze-Its. Remember Squeeze-Its?
The Kool-Aid Squeeze-Its?
They're not Kool-Aid.
Oh, my bad.
They tasted like Kool-Aid, but they were a different brand. And now Kool-Aid has their something else that looks like a Squeeze-It, but it's not a Squeeze-It.
Oh gosh. Tang is 69% added sugars.
What did you think it was? It's like Kool-Aid. Did you think it was just like ground up dried orange?
Well, no. I just didn't think it would be 69%, which nice, but also that's a lot of sugar. I've been cutting out sugar, so it's just one of those, ooh, maybe I didn't need caffeine after all.
Oh, gosh. Mr. Poole asks Sherman if he got contacts, but someone just stole his glasses. Mr. Poole turns to the topic at hand, the possibility of life on Mars and what this means. Howard says the government has been covering this up for years, and Mulder and Scully were right. The truth is out there. The rest of the boys agree, but Mr. Poole stops them. The X-Files is fiction. Scully and Mulder are played by actors. Did you ever watch X-Files?
I started watching and then I forgot. This wasn't long ago either. It was 5 years.
Okay.
I need to go back. It's one of those, I started something and then shockingly did not finish.
The boys are disappointed, and they're also disappointed that you've not finished the X-Files.
I would be too, but I do love Gillian Anderson.
Yeah, I never really watched X-Files. There was something else. It was too old for me, I think, at the time. Sabrina then walks in asking if this is science club. Mr. Poole asks if she left something in her desk, but she's there to join unless they're full.
Left something in her desk? There's no storage at those science tables.
That's true. Okay, maybe. There's probably drawers where they have lab equipment that we can't really see. So in college, right, you were assigned a drawer for your chem lab or whatever, and you put a little lock on it, and that was your drawer for the year.
Chem lab, nerd.
I mean, I knew what clique I was. I didn't have to think about it. I'm the one who got us to join the Mole Day Foundation. So maybe that's it. Maybe she has a little cubby or something.
Okay.
Mr. Poole welcomes her and tells her to have a seat. Gordy, speaking to himself, says there's a girl in science club. Don't panic. Sabrina says hi to him and he lets out a weird noise.
Oh, Gordy.
The scene flips, and Sabrina and the others are leaving science club. Sabrina never knew a pickle could be used as a light bulb.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
So, all we need is a well-ventilated room.
Okay.
I know how to do it now, and we'll get 120 seconds of pickle glowing in the inside until it starts smoking, which is probably why you need the well-ventilated room at that point. But it sounds like you can take out the electric prongy thingies. You know what I'm talking about there. Electrodes. Yep, electrodes there. Out of the pickle, let it cool down for a moment, and then possibly stick it in the same pickle in a different spot and use the salt from that other spot of the pickle to make it glow again, or it just recommended using a different pickle, and it said only adults should do this experiment.
So are we doing this the next time we're in your backyard?
Yeah.
They part ways as Gordy drops his book again, and Sabrina goes to her locker, seeing Libby coming down the hall. Libby asks if there was a meeting of the Freaks Society. Sabrina starts to respond, but Mr. Poole walks by, saying it was great to have Sabrina in science club. Libby laughs. Sabrina is a geek in Freaks clothing. Sabrina protests, but drops her book. That doesn't prove anything. Libby bends down to help her pick it up, but instead kicks it further away with one more geek and walks off laughing.
Back to the pickles for just one moment. I wonder if we change the types of pickles, what the different effects will be. Adding that to my hypothesis.
Like a gherkin versus a pickle, or like a dill versus or like a Vlasic, or...
Yeah, all that. And then the super teeny tiny micro pickles. I hate pickles, and I can't stop thinking about making them glow now.
I've slowly started trying to eat pickles, and they're not as terrible as I believed as a child, but they're still not my favorite thing.
I get a lot of Instagrams and TikToks about chickles.
I'm sorry, wait, what? What's a chickle?
You melt cheese, and then you warm up your pickle inside of it, and then you wrap the melted cheese, like the crispy cheese around it, and you make a chickle. And then there was another time where you got a pickle. You either put chicken inside of the pickle.
But how?
Or you put the pickle inside of the chicken.
I think it's that.
And then you wrapped it all in cheese, and then you air fried it. I get a lot of pickle recipes for not liking pickles.
What is your algorithm?
It beats me.
What is AI saying about you?
AI doesn't know either. It's always a fun time when I manage to get back onto Twilight TikTok, and I'm not sure what I did to get back into Twilight TikTok.
I know why. That's because you and I are friends, and it will send you stuff based on your friends, which is why everything I send to Nikki, she's already seen, because it sends me things based off of her and what she likes. And so you get the Twilight stuff because I get the Twilight stuff and I get excited about it and I send it to people. And so then it's probably like Skye and Lara are similar enough that I bet Skye would also like this Twilight stuff.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I love good Twilight TikTok every now and then because I love K-Stew. It's always random. I never know what I will get on any day I open TikTok. When Titan Gate went down, it became very apparent the two separate sides of TikTok in our household, as far as Jill had all like the historical facts about the original Titanic or scientific stuff about, you know, the Titan submersibles and all this wholesome per se content. While my side of TikTok was like, yeah, eat the rich.
Those were the best days of last year.
Right.
We're sharing those reels and then talking about what I had shared and laughing about them again in person. Yes.
The parody songs that were made.
Oh.
So the songs of our youth. Like, oh.
Everything. All of it was amazing. It was the greatest time in the internet for last year.
But yeah, Jill was sort of horrified at my TikTok at that point.
Jill doesn't want to see my TikTok. Instagram. I have TikTok. Instagram.
Anyways, we can leave pickles and TikTok behind now, I think.
And chickles.
Oh, yes. And chickles. Maybe we should try some chickles, too.
Zelda is, for some reason, playing Furlies on the piano at home when Hilda comes stumbling in wearing her armor. It's great for wearing around the house. Zelda tells her that doesn't count. No one wears metal after Labor Day. Sabrina also enters, asking Hilda what the range is on her cannon, and Hilda offers to go get it. Zelda tells her to sit down and tells Sabrina that a cannon is not a solution for a land-based problem, then asks what's wrong. Libby caught Sabrina coming out of science club. Zelda is excited. But now Libby thinks she's a complete geek. Hilda says it's Zelda's influence. She tried to get Sabrina to watch TV with her so she'd be normal. Zelda tells her to be quiet and zaps the visor on her armor shut. Zelda tells Sabrina it shouldn't bother her what Libby says. Sabrina wants to use her magic to teach Libby a lesson. And Zelda says that sounds very constructive, which is weird advice that we've never gotten from Zelda before. Okay.
Also, I would argue that a cannon is a solution for a land-based problem in wars.
Sabrina wants to give Libby a snout, and Hilda pipes up, good idea. Zelda zaps her visor again and tells Sabrina to talk to her friend Cicero. They go upstairs and Hilda tries to follow, but her outfit is too heavy, but it's still very useful. Zelda and Sabrina are looking through the magic book for Cicero, the Roman philosopher / scholar / statesman, aka an ancient geek. They open to his page and immediately he is nervous because there's a girl looking at him. He tells himself not to panic. Zelda tells Sabrina to ask what he would do as he's very knowledgeable. His was the first recorded wedgie. Cicero tells her to hurry up before the Centurions give him a swirly in the aqueduct. Sabrina tells him that Libby keeps calling her a geek and she doesn't like it. Cicero tells her to ignore Libby. Sabrina can't ignore her, no one can. Cicero says there are 2 ways to teach her a lesson. 1, give her a snout, I knew it. Or 2, give her a taste of her own medicine. Turn her into a geek so she can see how it feels, and she'll learn that's what's inside really counts. Cicero shows Sabrina how to cast the spell, and Sabrina mimics it by pushing up imaginary glasses on her nose and then pointing. Cicero says she just has to point. His glasses were just slipping. At school, Sabrina and Libby are at their lockers. Gordy smacks himself with his locker again, and Libby quips, nice move, 4 eyes. Sabrina zaps Libby, and she hits herself with her locker. Jill and Cece come over, asking Libby if she's okay, as she holds her head. Libby says her eyeballs are itching. It must be her contacts. They didn't know she wears contacts. Now we're behind Libby in the hallway, camera pointing down at her knee-high socks. We slowly move up as she gets a drink from the fountain, turning around to reveal large glasses that she pushes up her nose and then wipes her mouth on her sleeve. Going back to her locker, Jill and Cece freak out. Libby looks totally weird. She took her contacts out and ran her fingers through her hair a couple of times. Doesn't it look shiny? More like greasy.
Oily hair call out.
She was cold, so she pulled up her socks. The bell rings. Libby panics and pulls out her books, saying that they'll be late for class. Jill says they're always late for class. It's what they do. Libby runs off with her arms full of books, but stops to say, what are you looking at, to Sabrina. Sabrina calls Harvey and Jenny to come sit with her in the cafeteria. Harvey notes that she looks happy. It's a New World Order and butterscotch pudding.
I would say that is one of the worst puddings you could have.
Well, Harvey gets excited about the pudding, just glossing over the New World Order comment. At the cheerleader table, Matt Sabetti is coming over. He says hi, and Libby lets out a weird noise. He walks away, weirded out. What was that noise? Libby's asthma just kicked in, and she needs her inhaler, but it's time to cheer. They get up and start their cheer with Libby a beat behind. She adjusts her glasses and gets the pom-pom in her mouth. Her moves are off, and she smacks Jill in the eye. The other cheerleaders huddle up without her and decide that she's sitting out Spirit Week. She's a threat to the whole team. She asks where she should go, who will she sit with, and Cece says she'll fit in at the geek table. Libby can't believe it. She turns back around and bumps into Matt, causing him to drop his tray and tells her, "Watch where you're going, geek." Who does he think he's talking to? She starts to yell at him, but stops when she has to snort. She runs away. Harvey notes that there's something different about Libby. Did she change her hair? Sabrina starts a cheer. It's Spirit Week, and Libby's now a geek.
The cheerleaders are repeating the same cheer from yesterday. Do they only know the one cheer?
In your school, wasn't there like 2 or 3 standard cheers that like kind of everybody knew and would do at the games?
If I were in charge of the world here, if I had Libby power, I would do a different cheer each day to start teaching the crowd at least 5 different cheers to have under their belts for the game instead of the one very lame one.
You have too much faith in a high school student body population to learn 5 cheers that they don't really care about.
Hey, I was a member of pep band. I knew 5 cheers.
You were a member of pep band. You weren't just an average kid hanging out in the cafeteria being like, what the hell is happening? I'm just trying to eat my tater tots.
Touche, touche.
Jenny notes that people are laughing at Libby. Harvey again points out that she's always been nice to him. Sabrina is going to go talk to her. Jenny says that whatever Libby is going through, it doesn't involve Sabrina. Who said it did? It's not like Sabrina is responsible. She's just a really empathetic person. Sabrina goes into the bathroom calling Libby's name. The bathroom, by the way, that Sabrina has been banned from since day 1. We can hear Libby wheezing. Sabrina opens the stall and Libby asks what she wants. To talk. Don't you mean to gloat? Sabrina can talk and gloat at the same time. Sabrina thought Libby might need a friend. Libby doesn't understand why her friends don't understand that geeks have feelings. If you trip us, do we not fall? If you prick us, do we not scream and pass out?
Merchant of Venice shout out there.
Sabrina asks what that teaches her. Libby replies, to hate cheerleaders. Sabrina says it's what's inside that counts. Libby takes a moment to process this. No matter how she looks or dresses, she's still Libby Chesler. This is very exciting. They go back to the cafeteria and Libby goes straight to the geeks table to ask if she can sit there. They stare at her, stunned. She tells them to relax and snorts to show that she's one of them. Sabrina returns to her table. Jenny wonders what's going on, and Harvey says he told them she was nice. Sabrina just told Libby to be herself. Libby, meanwhile, is talking to the geeks about power, how to get it, and how to keep it. Gordy wants to talk about Xena, warrior princess, but she shuts him down because this is important.
Did you watch Xena?
Oh, yeah.
Good job, Gordy, watching Xena as well. Feeling some women empowerment right there.
In the hall, Sabrina tells Jenny that she's going to science club. Is she sure she wants to broadcast that? Yes, today the geeks are safe, just as one of them opens his locker on his head, but you can't protect them from themselves.
Okay, we know I'm klutzy. I will admit that. But never have I ever, in all my klutziness, concussionness, slammed my head into a locker as much as they are doing for all these geeks here in this show.
I don't think I ever, at least not with opening it. There was a possibility when I had the upper locker that I may have bent down doing something, like stood up and hit my head on the door that way, but I don't have any vivid memories of doing that. Sabrina shows up to science club saying she brought her rock tumbler. Libby asks if they can help her. Libby is the new president of science club, and membership is closed. It's limited to 6 people, which is how many can fit in the space shuttle. She sent Mr. Poole for Tang and Fig Newtons.
Yes, Tang.
Sabrina doesn't belong here. She's not a total geek. The guys agree. She never sat with them at lunch, and she has 20/20 eyesight. Well, stab me in the back with a protractor, why don't you? Sabrina can't believe this. Libby used to make fun of them all the time, but now she's their leader. Gordy mumbles, not my leader. Libby heard that and asks Gordy what he said. He repeats, you're not my leader, you're pushy and bossy, and if Sabrina goes, I go. Next, we see Sabrina and Gordy running out of the classroom as Sabrina tells him it was very brave. He tells her, don't talk, run. Hilda is tenderizing beef with her mace as Salem watches, which is like the first time we've seen Salem, and this is the only Salem scene.
Tragically, it is.
Sabrina comes in complaining about her big stinky day. Her magic never works the way she wants it to. Hilda asks if it would help to pound some beef and hands over the mace. Sabrina hits the meat with the mace as she complains that she got kicked out of science club because she's not a total geek. Hilda thought yesterday she was upset over being called a geek. Sabrina says yes and hits the meat again. There is no pleasing you. Sabrina hits the meat some more, but Hilda stops her. Salem asks if he can lick the mace. Hilda hands it over and he instantly yelps in pain, but it's worth it. Sabrina continues. She wanted to teach Libby that it's what's inside that counts, but she forgot that inside, Libby is a manipulative, conniving dictator. Hilda asks if she'll reconsider the snout. Sabrina is just going to turn her back to her normal, then wants to pound some more beef. At school the next day, Libby is fully embracing her new geek self and even picks on Cece's cheerleader outfit, asking if the W stands for "Where's my brain?" The geeks chime in with, "Hey, look at me. I'm Jill and I wash my hair every day."
Greasy hair call out.
Which also, like, we know you don't necessarily need to wash your hair every day. Most girls who are that obsessed with their hair care would know that. Another insult is, "How many cheerleaders does it take to screw in a pickle?" They don't get it. You wouldn't. The cheerleaders run off and Jenny comes up to Sabrina. "The revolution is upon us. The cheerleaders are being teased by the geeks." Sabrina tells her she wouldn't be too sure about that and zaps Libby. Libby takes off her glasses, saying that her eyeballs stopped itching. Then she puts them back on and continues her conversation with the geeks. Sabrina is confused because Libby's not supposed to be a geek anymore and asks Libby if they can talk. Sabrina asks her if she's tried doing any cheers lately. Sabrina bets she could. Libby responds that any seal can clap. She is a higher life form. Even more confused, Sabrina says she thinks Libby likes being a geek. Jenny isn't surprised. As long as Libby can exclude people, she's happy. Sabrina should have listened to Jenny since day one on this. I know Jenny's kind of mean, but Jenny also understands fully how Libby ticks. She called this from very early on, from the first cafeteria scene. I also feel like there is a scene that got cut here for time because we leave Sabrina and Jenny talking in the hallway and flip to a new scene where Sabrina is walking towards Jenny in the hallway. And it seems like Sabrina has come to this conclusion that she was led to in the previous scene, but there's something missing. There's some connecting scene that's missing here. Probably like she called her aunts or talked to Salem or something and it got cut for time. There's something missing because we immediately flip back to the same location with Sabrina walking into the hallway, going up to Jenny and asking Jenny to go to the science club with her. Jenny isn't into organized science, though. Sabrina thinks she can convince her and zaps Jenny, causing her to hit herself with her locker. Jenny hopes she doesn't have a hematoma. They start walking to science club and run into Harvey, who Sabrina also asks to come to science club, but he says no way. Sabrina zaps him too, and he also hits his head with his locker. Suddenly, he wishes he had every episode of Mystery Science Theater on tape. They go to science club, but Sabrina first goes around the school zapping kids and making them hit themselves with their lockers, including a quote-unquote kid that is a fully balding man.
Oh, extras.
Sabrina first goes into the bathroom and looks at herself in the mirror for the good of mankind, but she can't look. She closes her eyes and zaps herself. In science club, the geeks are talking and telling a joke about the handwriting recognition on his Newton, turning it into "Are you afraid of the dork?" Which, FYI, the Apple Newton was the first PDA, or personal digital assistant, to feature handwriting recognition. Libby spits out her drink while laughing. In walks Sabrina, fully geeked out, saying, "Let's talk Philip K. Dick," who is a science fiction writer and the writer of one of my dad's favorite books, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. Libby tries to say she can't be there, but Mr. Poole says of course she can be there. Sabrina brought friends with her, and in walk a ton of students now as their geek selves, including Harvey, who exclaims, "Science rocks!" Mr. Poole welcomes them. He is so happy. He's going to save the space program. Libby objects. Science club was supposed to be exclusively for geeks. Sabrina says it is, but now they're all geeks. Mr. Poole says science club is for everyone. Libby's upset. This isn't a club. This is just a bunch of people with shared interests hanging out together. Then takes off her glasses. Not her. She's going home to wash her hair. Mr. Poole says she's going to miss out. They're going to play with really strong magnets. All the geek students laugh. Sabrina arrives back home, still in her geek persona. Hilda is beside herself. Sabrina is geeked to the gills. Hilda blames herself. No, she blames Zelda as Zelda walks in from a back room that is unknown. What is that back room? What is happening back there? We never see it. It's just a room on the other side of the stairs. Zelda says Sabrina looks adorable and smart. Sabrina feels smart and learns something. No matter what we're labeled, Libby will always be Libby, and Sabrina will always be Sabrina. Hilda asks if she had to become a geek to figure that out. Sabrina says it's actually quite complex. She just put it in layman's terms for Hilda. Zelda says she has to do that all the time. Hilda asks if she's saying she dumps things down for her. Well, C:\duh.
Did you get that one?
I did, yes.
For those who might not have, the root to a computer's C drive is the C:\\/ there, which typically hosts your main drive. So it's a nice little tongue-in-cheek for Hilda can't compute.
2 years later, this insult would probably be like duh.com. I remember those insults. They start to argue, and Sabrina zaps helmets on both of them before going off to take a shower.
Those helmets are ridiculously oversized.
Back at school, Gordy yet again drops his book. Libby laughs at him and says she'll help and starts to kick the book, but stops and actually picks it up for him. Gordy thinks she's just setting him up and runs off. Jill and Cece don't understand. They're not making fun of geeks. Who will they make fun of? Just then they pass Sabrina and Libby says, "Hi, Sabrina." Super freak. But Sabrina zaps a kick me sign onto Libby's back. In our end tag, Zelda is at her computer in the kitchen, and Sabrina comes down to tell her that the kid next door is throwing water balloons at the house. Zelda knows Hilda went out to do something about it. Just then, we hear Hilda say, "Arr, prepare to be boarded," to me, and a large blast with the sound of breaking glass. What was that? Hilda comes in wearing a pirate outfit with gunpowder on her face. She used her cannon. It stays. We did it. Congratulations to us.
We were like, this is going to be so short. We have nothing to say. We're so dull today.
Thanks for listening. Our next episode will be Season 1, Episode 10, Sweet and Sour Victory. Skye, any guesses on what that's going to be about?
I don't even know what to guess anymore with these. Sweet and sour. There's going to be good, and there's going to be bad, and there's going to be a victory, but at what cost?
Oh, okay. You know, not a bad guess.
Thank you.
In the meantime, like, share, rate, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Make us popular. You can also email us with your history facts at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram at somethingwitchypod. Until next time.
Stay magical.